Welcome to the Content Podcast, conversations with Silicon Valley's creatives. I'm Daniel Garcia, your host and the cultivator of Content Magazine, published by SV Creates.
Hello, this is Omar.
Today we talk with Omar Rodriguez. He's the owner of Kooltura Marketing and the co-founder of Eastside Magazine. Hey Omar, how you doing today?
Good. Hey, how's it going, man? It's been a while.
I know. I mean, we share the same office building space, and I don't think I've seen you, well, it's got to be almost like half a year then, right?
Yeah, pretty much since March, man. Yeah, now we share the same cloud, right?
Right, exactly.
Uh,
Yeah, it's crazy. The thing is just the amount of time that has passed, and then yet sometimes it doesn't seem like any time's passed, right? I mean, like I'm talking to hear you now, and it's like, oh yeah, I must have just saw you yesterday sitting in
Familiar,
your
yeah,
office while I'm sitting in mine.
for
Yeah,
sure. Yeah, I've been in there a couple of times, and but it's weird, right? Like working
yeah,
from home kind of has become the new normal, and
yeah,
so when I'm having to like go in the office, or just kind of work not anywhere near home, it's
yeah.
like, oh, like this feels weird, so I need to go back home and work.
Yeah, so I mean, I know that because you had been working out of the Mexican Heritage Plaza, also in the space with SV Creates. Um, but yeah, so now with that kind of like I'm working from home, how's that been for you as far as like with your family probably being there and everything?
Yeah. The Mexican Heritage Plaza is one of my bigger clients for
Hmm.
my marketing agency, and so right now I'm supporting there quite a bit actually. A lot of the work that I have been doing with arts and cultural nonprofits out in East San Jose.
Yeah,
Since kind of the shelter in place, kind of a lot of them slowed down, right? Like their
yeah,
operations in general, but the plaza has definitely kind of ramped up, with a few things and kind of pivoted into some new services,
yeah,
like food distribution and more recently with COVID 19 testing. And
yeah,
so I've been there supporting the team physically, but also obviously with the marketing and outreach and branding level. And so I'm there actually a couple times a week, and then working from home the rest of the time to handle my other business
accounts.
related
Yeah,
things. And so it's definitely been hard, man. It's been challenging,
yeah,
especially since like recently with this with my boys who are 7 and 12, and having to do distance learning. And so
yeah.
one of them is set up with me in the living room, and my younger one is in the kitchen with my wife, who's also working from home. And so we're tag teaming it, but
Yeah.
it man, it's hard, especially with the little one.
Yeah, I know. I don't. I mean, I have one in college and one is a senior in high school, so it's a totally different situation, right? They can handle their own schedule. I
For
cannot
sure.
imagine what it would be like to have elementary school kids during this time. Yeah,
Yeah. My 12-year-old, he's a seventh grader now, so but he's a little bit more kind of self-contained. He can,
yeah,
he's going through his work. Every now and then he'll, like I'll have to like, hey, like what are you doing? Make sure you stay focused. But for the most part, he's good. But my little one, man, it's a constant, like, hey, focus, don't do this, ask your teacher. And so it's
yeah,
definitely a balance, right? And trying to make it easy
yeah.
for them as well, or not to be too hard on them as well, which is really hard though, right? Because
No, totally.
like
Yeah,
everybody's on like my wife might be on a call. Actually, she's on a call right now, so like have to step
yeah,
in and tell her like, hey, I'm gonna be on a call. I know you're on a call. So then having to talk to my little one, it's like all this coordinating, right? And this like yelling
yeah,
across the house of like on a call, on a call.
yeah.
It's like
It
so
is kind of crazy. Yeah,
yeah.
cool. So hey, so Cultura Marketing started back in about 2009. Is that correct? Right?
That is correct. So we're a little bit over the 10-year mark,
Yeah.
which
Congratulations.
when I look back, it's like, wow, where did all that time go? But but yeah, has
Yeah.
definitely, I think we've um, kind of done some really good work, been able to
Yeah.
kind of step in and assist with a lot of the with this kind of niche of kind of the arts and cultural sector with within more specifically in East San Jose, but all throughout San
Yeah.
Jose, been able to support individual artists as well, some small businesses, and kind of been able to kind of step in and out as their as their marketing consultant, implementing and even some kind of event marketing, if you will. But
Yeah. Yeah.
all things marketing, I would say, for sure.
Yeah, and specifically focusing on multicultural marketing and branding, right? That means that's kind of more of Kultura's focus, right?
Yeah, yeah, we
Yeah,
definitely like to say that we specialize in multicultural marketing, and the definition of that is a little still a little general, right? But I
yeah,
think that at the very core, what we like to focus is really when we're doing either when we're promoting an event or where we're doing branding for them, we really look at um, the community that it's going to serve, right? With the
yeah,
audience, if you will. And so whether that audience is, you know, um, the culture behind that audience, the ethnicity, history, and so really like taking that and really going deep, right? Whether it's something that it needs to be translated, something that needs to
yeah,
look and feel, um, that something that it's going to speak to them, right? And what they're used to, and so even providing something in Spanish, like
yeah,
it's not just translating something from English to Spanish, or throwing it on Google, right? A lot of the times
right,
you have to go deeper, you have to change the words, you have to change the messaging so that you
right.
can still get and reach that audience. And so we really kind of look at that really heavily, and we guide clients through that process,
Yeah,
as an important factor to really reach their specific audience.
yeah, that's cool. Now, have you done stuff then? I mean, I know you speak Spanish. You're from Mexico, right?
Hmm.
So, I mean, obviously, you can handle that part of it. But are you
Yeah.
doing other languages and other kind of subculture groups and stuff like that, as well as kind of just the Latino community, or are
Yeah.
primarily with Latino?
I would say definitely primarily, but we've done stuff with like the Indian community
Hmm.
center out in Milpitas.
Yeah,
We've done some work with like I would say like Chinese or Asian, right, in general.
yeah,
But
yeah,
but that has been mainly like translating and working with
sure.
kind of native speakers to get something to get a message across. But for the Milpitas, the Indian Community Center, we were able to run a few different campaigns that targeted obviously their audience out within their services,
Yeah,
and and through a lot of the branding, right? So using imagery that people in the Indian community were used to, that could
yeah,
that would then have them react to some of the collateral pieces that we were putting out. And so we worked directly with that center and with their marketing department to get a lot of branding that again was specific to their culture. And so but
yeah,
yeah, in general, I think you highlighted earlier on for sure. It is Hispanic, Latino focus, but we do and have done some work in other
yeah.
cultures, other communities.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, even it's kind of interesting just even how some cultures can view different colors in different ways, right? So there could be those kind of subtle little things that you could accidentally, step on that you wouldn't know, right? Is
Oh,
there anything that you've
for
kind of come
sure.
along that's kind of like that, where you were attending to kind of do something, and then the kind of cultural representative that was you were working with was like, no, that doesn't work with us, or anything like that?
No, you know what, and I think it has been because we do a lot of culturally or ethnicity specific work, is that we're
Yeah,
always careful into what we put
yeah,
out. And so part of the work that I do is always kind of having to do a little bit of research on the back end to make
yeah,
sure that I don't make those mistakes.
yeah,
But I mean, there have been a few where for example, actually with the Indian Community Center like we used we were building this campaign around a lot of the iconic buildings in India, and
Uh-huh.
so I used different buildings that that I thought were representative, or I was looking at it from what was kind of important, right? That
Yeah.
of things that were,
Iconic or something, right?
iconic, and
Yeah.
some of them were, were obviously a lot of the stuff that I pulled has to do with religious, right? And
Yeah.
so, um, the first iteration that I did came across too religious, right? And
Oh,
so
okay. Yeah.
I was able to talk to the leadership there, and it's like, well, okay, well, we need to find the right balance, right? And so,
Yeah.
it's not necessarily that we got it wrong, because obviously a lot of their iconic buildings, are religious, right?
Yeah.
But then we had to just come up with like the second and third draft that reflected a little bit more the dynamic of the Indian culture versus just being iconic religious buildings. And so
Yeah.
I would say that
Yeah.
that was one where, again, we didn't necessarily get it wrong, but we did need to
Yeah.
find a right balance. And so,
Yeah,
um,
sure. That's part of the process of coming up with a final, you have to do iterations and stuff.
yeah, for sure.
It must be pretty interesting because every culture, I mean, if you even take Indian culture, Hispanic culture, or Asian culture, or East, more farther East Asian, or even American culture, I mean, there's so many subgroups within those
Yeah,
cultures, I mean, like for something that you would run for maybe like Silicon Valley, you wouldn't run in, I don't even know any place in the Midwest somewhere,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think it.
Yeah.
I think it, just as a marketer and as a as a branding professional, again, always just learning more about your audience and learning more about culturally and historically, like what do they gravitate towards, and just digging in a little bit, right? I can't really say that I'm an expert in, like, let's say, Latino or Hispanic community, right? Like, I have to go deeper into what my East Side San Jose folks are, what their
Yeah.
history was like and what their upbringing was, right? And so looking at, some of those historical and that cultural vibrancy that, that has in a way predated us, right? But
Yeah.
it's still important and it's still relevant to bring back and to speak to. And so again, just digging in deeper into some of the, like, the audience that you're trying to reach, and I think
Yeah.
that's really where we've been able to shine in a way, um, because we're on the grounds doing the
Yeah.
work, and we're meeting with community folks, we're meeting with folks that are part of that history and are part of that work that predates us. And so always getting in conversations, then at the end of the day, they really kind of drive, and become the kind of the base for the work that we're doing, even though
Yeah.
sometimes it might not show, but we've done that work to make sure that that we're in the right message and we're sending um, you know the right voice.
Yeah. That's the thing, right? I mean, it's so difficult. And I know you know this, just that it's more than just taking something and translating it. It's like really getting in touch with the culture, which is, brings all those aspects from political to social, economical to religious, spiritual, I mean, philosophical, historical. I mean, when you talk about culture, right, you're talking about like every nuance that makes a people I mean, then you have generations, and then it's like there's
Yeah.
a lot.
Well, and then the historical context also gets lost, right? Generation through generation. So
Yeah,
I'm always having to relearn that, right? And again, I can't say that I'm an expert, but again, always kind of having to dig in and making sure that I'm doing right by the neighborhood, I'm doing right by the things that have happened in the past, and make sure that that
yeah,
I'm doing my work on that end. So
yeah, totally.
yeah.
What would you say, as doing this work for 19, 20, almost 20 years? Is that how? No,
No, no, 10,
19,
9 or 10,
10.
10,
Yeah,
10,
okay. I'm like
10
looking at
plus
the
years.
math. I get, what are we? We've been in shut in for 15
Uh,
years now.
oh
um,
man,
yeah. So what
yeah.
would you say? What have you kind of learned about kind of like the uniqueness of San Jose culture?
San Jose culture, man. You
I
know
know
what?
it's crazy.
I think that the probably what comes to mind is actually the interview, or yeah, the interview that Anna, and the piece that she wrote when I was featured in the magazine couple years ago,
Yeah.
which is this idea of being a maker, that in San Jose,
Mm,
like you're able to create, right? Like there, you're not stepping into something that, had already been done for years and years, and you're just stepping into, to kind of take over, or put your, get your foot in the door, and then, you bring something new. Like here you get to
yeah.
create from scratch, and you get to experience, you get to test out some new things, and
Yeah.
really, I think San Jose has kind of provided that canvas to be like, hey, if you're a creator from whatever sector you're in, like you can test it out here. You can put things out there, and see where that takes you, right? Versus
Yeah.
having to step into something that's already built, or something that's already made. And again, that goes for whether it's in, as an artist or as a musician, anything. I think it's really an
Yeah.
open canvas. So
Yeah.
I would
It
say,
is.
yeah, I
Yeah.
would say that.
That's the thing I've kind of always said. I always called it like to play on the word developer. It's like the developer town. Like not just because there's so much tech that's doing development of technology, but it really is a place where you can develop. You can develop something. You can create something. You can make something, or even you can begin to develop it. And we see even this a lot of times too, right? People kind of come here, start their craft, but then they move to other markets because
Yeah.
sometimes it's a little bit more commercially viable. And
Yeah.
then
Well, I
they
mean,
develop here, and then they move out there to kind of quote quote hit it big or successful, right? I mean that's kind of part of who we are. Is that
yeah,
kind of
that
dichotomy?
definitely, it's definitely part of the challenge, right? Like the housing market, and just
Yeah,
how expensive it is, and obviously, for the work that we do is still very I would say it's still very grassroots, right?
yeah, yeah. Hey, so now, okay, so 2009, you started doing branding and marketing. We kind of showed up on the downtown scene around the same time. I saw you at different meetings at the city. We kind of got to know each other a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, Glad to know that you're a soccer player because it's important to have us out there. Um,
Yeah.
but then, so now you moved into just in 2019, right? So
Yeah.
in December, you launched Eastside Magazine.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
kind of
Yep.
tell you what was the impetus to do something crazy like to try to do a publication? What was the thinking or
Some,
non-thinking behind
so,
that?
something crazy is right.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Something
yeah,
crazy is right. Because of my work for the last kind of 10 years, involving myself doing the work within
yeah.
the East Side community, and working with a lot of the arts and cultural nonprofits there, that word, which I'm talking about, obviously the School of Arts and Culture at Mexican Heritage Plaza. I'm talking about
Yeah,
Somos Mayfair,
yeah,
Vegelution, Grail Family Services, like all of those organizations within themselves or by themselves were doing a lot of great work, and
yeah,
I was supporting a lot of that work. Um, whether it was through a smaller campaign, or maybe a small rebrand of a project, or a small or branding of a new initiative, and I always, I always saw that they were kind of out there, you know, by
yeah,
themselves, right? Like that
yeah,
they were putting out the message and the work that they were doing in a
yeah,
very like, just by themselves, and their
totally.
reach was really, their own audience, and maybe a few new audiences that they were trying to reach within their new initiative, or their program,
Yeah,
or their fundraising. And so throughout the years, like like I would say for about 3-4 years now, I had that idea of like, I think it would be good to kind of to have them work together, or to have a certain medium that would then highlight all of them together. And
yeah,
so that's kind of how the creation of Eastside Magazine was born, really out of that, the work that I had been doing with individually with them,
yeah,
but then trying to find again that medium and that platform that would then highlight and really have provide more visibility for the work that they were doing collectively.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, a lot of things happened throughout those kind of the last 2 3 years of kind of like just having it in a just in my mind, and then on paper. And then, just last year, like you said, in December, kind of launching the first edition.
Yeah.
And really, out of the passion for the work that I have been doing for the last,
Mm-hmm.
9 10 years. And I think, you probably don't think about it like this, but I think you're a big influencer in the work that I'm doing with Eastside Magazine, because of the work that you have been doing with Content Magazine. And I think, if you remember correctly, we actually, uh, reached out to you for
Yeah.
a meeting. We actually
Yeah.
had conversations in the hall, at SB Creates.
Yeah.
And then we actually sat down for a meeting, and you told me, we spoke about a few things, kind of the
Yeah.
ins and outs of the work that you have been doing with Content Magazine. And so again, it really came full circle for me,
Yeah.
with the magazine and the work that I have been doing. But yes, big kudos to you and big thanks,
Well,
because I think, again, it influenced the work with magazine and print, really.
yeah, it's
Um,
crazy.
yeah, through your work of Content Magazine,
Yeah, I
which,
think it's
yeah.
great. I mean, I think I think that was kind of like the same thing why I started content, right? I saw a lot of people doing stuff in the arts area, not really getting publicity or promotion or
Hmm.
visibility, and it was just like, hey, well, if you guys all kind of come together and do this in a third party, it's going to benefit everybody, And so
Yeah.
when you were talking about doing this for the East Side, I was like, this is, I mean, I think it's a great idea. I mean, it's a section of San Jose that has some part of it is a little different, and they do have a couple great cultural centers that need to have visibility. But yeah, like, it's so hard for nonprofit art organizations to be trying to, they have their audience, their constituency, and then this other one has theirs, and they're all working so hard to put their stuff out, but it kind of just lands with the same people all the time, right?
Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
could
Yeah, for
pull it
sure.
together, yeah, yeah. So what's some of the so I mean, you launched the first one, and then and then the second one came out, and then COVID hit, right? So
Yeah.
what's some of the surprising, fun things that you've seen so far about putting out a publication like this?
That it's easier said than done, man.
Yeah,
For
someone
sure.
told me
And,
one
and
time, and
you
I
and
think,
you and you warned me. You warned me, and
yeah,
and uh, and I didn't know, right? It's like one of those things, like when you have your kids and you tell them, like, "Hey, this is gonna be hard," but right,
yeah,
until you live
yeah.
it, right? And
I think I
so,
told you like the one advice somebody gave me said like the first one is easy because you've been sitting on all these ideas for years,
yeah.
but then the second one is harder. The third one because it's like the deadlines are the same. But yeah, so yeah, what's some of the exciting things from doing it?
You know what? I guess the biggest exciting part is to be able to support this community specifically,
Yeah,
really through the the magazine platform, and really be the voice of the East Side, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
so, and the stories, the stories that we feature are stories from, community members, from, familias, and
hmm,
and so it really, the magazine kind of looks to highlight those stories. And so I think the most rewarding part is just being like the reaction from folks of seeing something, seeing the magazine reflect the stories that they're living. And so
yeah,
I think that has been the most rewarding part of the work, and that's really, kind of what keeps it going, really, because yeah, it's been hard to keep the timelines. And you know we were trying to be a print publication, right?
yeah,
Similar to
yeah,
Content, and then we got hit with shelter in place, and
yeah,
now some of
yeah,
our printers are out of line.
right.
And even when now they're back printing, but nobody's really going out, and
Picking up
picking
magazines.
up the magazine, right? And
Oh, I
so
feel it.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah,
and so yeah, exactly. I mean, you know firsthand. And so, but I think the most rewarding is, again, people seeing themselves within the magazine, and seeing their stories, and seeing, the resources, and and the cultural vibrancy within their neighborhood,
Yeah.
in a way that is presented a little different, right? With so many things being digital now,
Mm-hmm.
even more now,
Yeah.
um, just having something that they can look at, they can kind of glance over and read, and again see their own stories within the magazine. That has been the most rewarding part of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. That's cool. So I don't know. This might be too much like under the hood and all that kind of stuff, but like for me, even like the similar type of mission, I just wanted to connect people, and I thought that there would be kind of. I mean, there's been great reception to doing content magazine. At the same time, when it comes to people like, hey, like, why don't you promote your activity in this publication, and I can get it out to this many people for this cost, and they're like, yeah, we don't have any money. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it's a bare minimum. It would be less than if they made a 4x6 flyer.
yeah.
Like I did the numbers, right? If they
Hmm.
made a 4x6 flyer themselves and then mailed it out or round it, or went around town and put them out, I could do something. The publication would give them more reach at a less cost, but still they didn't see it. How's it been the reception? Because to do a print publication, or even if it's not print, if it's digital, there's
Hmm.
a lot of man hours, person hours that go behind it. How's it been the reception of, really to help the production? How's that been?
You know what? It has been tough. I think you explained it really well. Of, like, the kind of the folks not necessarily seeing kind of eye to eye in
Yeah.
terms of the how they're able to reach a wider audience, maybe new audiences, but
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
the curation of the stories, the curation of the branding of the magazine itself,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I think in general, I can't say that that it's any different with the work that we're doing,
Yeah.
Daniel. I think that we are still seeing some people that are kind of receptive to the
Yeah.
work, right? It's still, I mean, we're right now we're getting ready for to release the fourth edition, but I
Cool.
would say that, yeah, in terms of paid advertising, I think it's been really low,
Yeah.
close to none, really, to
Yeah.
be fully transparent, right? And
Yeah.
so, um, with Rosana, my co-founder, we're definitely in conversations of like, hey, what's the right model for this, right?
Yeah.
Because if traditionally, right, you would have publications that are mainly funded through advertising, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this work, and I think that, and I see that very similar to, I think, the work that you're doing. Maybe again, this is just from my point of view, is that it's a little different, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not straight on like full advertising corporate. We're not looking at the corporate level
Right.
advertising, right? Because this is very, very community
Mm-hmm.
based work, right? The
Yeah.
work that we're highlighting,
Yeah.
and the people that we're reaching is very, again, there's a different connection to that, and so we're
Yeah.
looking at different ways to really look at the model of the actual magazine from a financial stability point of view. And so,
Yeah.
I would say again that it is no different than some of the things that you're encountering with your magazine. And I mean, and you've been, content magazine has been around a little longer and has more visibility, and so we're just really in the beginning stages of that.
Yeah.
And we're leaning heavy on some of the organizations that we kind of promised that we would highlight, and we're and there, and some of them are are still trying to figure out like how they can support us.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so at the end of the day, we're in this together, but a lot of this work does come out of passion, man. And so
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's like how much how much how much does that passion reach in terms of number of years or stability. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It is kind of it's an interesting thing. And that's, with just with the amount of noise that is out there, and the change of the way that people communicate with social media, and then, so in some ways for your success as Eastside Magazine has to in itself become a brand, right? Because
Yeah.
then those other brands, and I hate to use those kind of terms, right? I mean, you understand we're talking about community empowerment, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But so, so like if there's, somebody who wants to reach a new audience, your reputation in the community, they latch onto that, and that's kind of the thing. How's social media kind of changed not only marketing and branding, not only just what you do with Kooltura, but also kind of like the way that you see it for Eastside Magazine?
Yeah. You know what? We can't, obviously everything is digital, and as much as we feel like print is important, for archiving or for just,
Mm-hmm.
having something tangible that people can pick up, and, glance through and go through the pages, right?
Yeah,
We can't forget about, the current technology and, where the new generations are getting their information from.
yeah,
And so, from the beginning, we knew we wanted to do a print publication, but we also knew that we had to pair it up with, the social platforms. And so, we are currently looking at some of those things, right? And in
yeah,
terms of how we're able to kind of, have them kind of both live, right? If
yeah,
obviously the print publication is an important factor, but also because we are a quarterly publication, there is a lot of opportunity, or there's a lot of, yeah, there's a lot of opportunities to be able to provide people within social media platforms, or digital platforms, more information on a week to week basis. And so,
yeah,
but that's it's good that we can do that, but for sure the, having, more hours to do that, right? And it needs
yeah,
a dedicated person to be able to take on that work. And so,
yeah,
I think that's part of the model that we're looking is like, can we, and, are we able to, put somebody in place, um, that could kind of hold the content, that could hold the messaging on a week to week basis. And
yeah,
we're just not there. I mean, we want to, and we see it as something important, right?
yeah,
But yeah, it takes a lot of time just with the
yeah,
publication. And so, but, we hope that in the future we can get the support to be able to have a more, ongoing message, ongoing, stories, through, the online platforms.
yeah, yeah. Well, that was the thing, even for me too, is starting the print publication, and then thinking in terms of digital. I thought like, okay, well, so you have one vehicle, print, and now you're gonna have a second one,
Yeah.
digital. But it's not. It wasn't just transforming. It actually makes about 4 times the amount of work to take those things and then prepare it for print and then turn it into a digital expression. So it's very interesting in the world of media. What it I don't think people know the labor that goes behind it. Right now, are you doing the pretty much the layouts for the print publication pretty much on your own, or do you have a team that kind of helps you with that, or how are you doing that?
Yeah, right now, because I've had more time, because some of the other work that I was doing, through, the marketing and through Cultura, some of those kind of were a little bit on hold. I'm able
Yeah,
to have a little bit more time, so I have been able to take on, much of the layout. And so,
yeah,
yeah, I've just been able to, fortunately, been able to handle that, on my own. But,
yeah,
there's a lot of opportunity out there for growth, but,
yeah,
I gotta make sure that financially that it's viable. So
yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean it's baby steps. I mean that's the kind of thing I even say when I started Content Magazine. I just kept telling myself like, you know what? Even if it's just even if we just do 1,000 copies and that gets out, that's good. I'm happy with that. Whatever. And we may not be the best, we may not be the biggest, but I'm definitely in this for the long haul.
yeah,
you
yeah,
know, and I think that's good. I mean, I think you're serving your community when Eastside Magazine becomes, when people know that hey, this is happening, and the amount of time it takes for people to get to know something in this world is crazy. Unless you got big dollars or you got a big star that can promote it, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
for sure. You know what?
yeah,
Thanks for saying that because we were close to releasing again the fourth
Yeah.
edition, which puts us about a 9 months into it, right? and
Yeah.
and there is kind of this want and this this kind of pressure to like get more eyes, more visibility
Yeah.
on the work that we're doing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, and especially with the current pandemic, right? Like we're, a
Yeah.
lot of people are, at home. They aren't
Hmm.
necessarily picking up print publications, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, we make sure that we're there digitally, through social media and and kind of revamping our website, just kind of watching the look and feel. But you know
Yeah.
what? Just by you saying that, and makes me, it kind of reassures me, or at least it gives me like hope, that that we are in it for the long run, and that we hope to be able to you know have the impact that we want, and
Yeah.
then have the organizations and the people that would want to see something like this kind of stick around for years to come, to really make those investments, really, because at the end of the day it's really about those investments, right? We're not a big
Yeah.
corporate company, or through Kooltura or the magazine, right? They don't have a
Yeah.
lot of dollars behind it, but they do have a lot of passion, and they do have a lot of um, you know vested interest in this community. And so if people can really see it, then I think we can be in it for the long run. But it's not even
Yeah.
us, the magazine itself, just to stick
Yeah.
around,
Yeah.
as something that is an asset to this community.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's good. I mean, I think, it seems to me, and, tell me if I'm wrong, but, you know, as you start to do that, you do branding and marketing, and then basically what happens is you're realizing you're serving your clients, right? And so Eastside seems to me it came out because it's like would be another better way for me to serve my community and quote unquote clients. I mean, I know the work that you do, and so I'm kind of like steering away from like the big, you know what I mean? Like I don't think even content. Like I don't like the branding terms. I don't like the ROI, all that kind of stuff because it's way more community engagement, and I feel like that you're doing that. So
Very much so, yeah.
yeah, I feel like that this is a part of you on your journey at Cultura and Omar as an individual of like engaging the community for the benefit of the community. So I really love what you're doing, and I think it's awesome. I love
Yeah.
that one illustration too with the lines because you always do. You have the line graphics that you use, but the
Yep.
fist with the lines on it and stuff. That's really really cool.
Yeah, yeah, no, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I always think of my work, and I think that's what, a lot of the times I enjoy the work that I do, because it really intersects with everything, that I love about what I do, which is, again, the marketing, the culture, the community,
Yeah,
and really it's that, invested in this community. And so it's
yeah,
like everything kind of intersects, right? Like, just physically, like at the Mexican Heritage Plaza, like, my kids have taken classes there, all
yeah,
of like shows and
yeah,
events culturally, and otherwise, like that's where they take place. So everything intersects, really. I'm promoting a lot of those events, and then I'm also attending those events, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
they're culturally relevant to me. And so, my family's involved, in coming to something that I'm promoting, and then at the end of the day, they're a part of it, right? And so,
yeah,
that's really what keeps me going, and what keeps this work going.
yeah. That's cool. Hey, what would you say? What is for you? What's kind of like your driving philosophy? What's something that you kind of a thought, idea, mission statement that keeps you kind of going or keeps you focused?
But, I think that honesty, transparency, and really passion for the work that you're doing, right? And so, I think that, everything that I do, comes out of passion, right? That it's not
Mm-hmm.
just that I'm doing something because it's my work, or it's something that it's like, I'm doing it and I'm seeing the results, and at the end of the day, it's for my community, and uplifting my community, and highlighting the cultural vibrancy, and all of that. And so, I don't know if it's necessarily much a philosophy, but more of just something that I always kind of look to, that keeps me going, and
Yeah.
regardless of the results, and regardless how many people I'm reaching through the work that I'm doing, it's more of the impact that I can have on my community, and even the work that I do on behalf of the organizations that I do work for. It's always about community. And
Yeah.
so, again, at the end of the day, if we're able to message out, if we're able to reach a specific audience, a specific community, we've done our job. If we've reached 10 people, or if we reach 500, or if we reach 5,000. And
Yeah.
so it's really about being passionate, and about the work that you're doing, on behalf of community.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. When you think about it too, I was just thinking as you were talking, it's like, you know, I mean, that's kind of what culture is really, it's the flavor of the community, right? And so when you're involved in community, that's kind of like brings up what the culture is, or, every community has its own little culture. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, let's transition to soccer.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you follow the Quakes at all? Are you a Quakes,
I do.
or were you a Quakes
It's
fan?
been hurting. Last couple of games,
Yeah,
it's been hurting.
I know.
Just yesterday, interesting enough that you bring that up. Just yesterday, I knew they were playing Colorado, right?
Yeah,
And I was looking for the game, and I guess for some reason, I have a couple like different apps
yeah,
that we like, the ESPN, and we have like Netflix, obviously, that we're running, but we're not
yeah.
necessarily like local TV, right? And so I guess I guess they blocked the streaming for some of them. And
Oh,
so then I asked my wife, like, hey, what's our code for ESPN? So I go look at ESPN, and then it's like the broadcasting is blocked. But then they give
yeah.
me the score, and it was already 3-0, and I'm like, oh
Oh,
man, like it's
I
like,
know.
no. It's been, yeah. But
Yeah,
I do follow him. I'm not like, I don't have like season tickets or anything, but I we try to go to as many games as we can, with my boys. But
yeah.
yeah,
It's hard, you hear those stories of like, these towns that have struggled with their team for hundreds of years,
yeah,
um, and it's kind of, I mean, I'm loyal, and but I don't know, are you this way too? It's like I'm loyal. They're my local team, you know what I mean? So of
yeah,
course, and I love soccer, so I'm with them. I want them to succeed and all that kind of stuff. But it doesn't get my mood down. Like a friend of mine is a Chicago Cubs fan, and so he would say that he would watch the games and he
yeah.
would find himself being depressed after.
Oh wow, interesting.
Are you're not into it that much, right? Or
No, no, no. You know what? Yeah, no. I love, obviously, most or all of the local teams, right? I'm always gonna root for them.
yeah,
But you know what? I've always looked at it like, I've always been a fan, not a fanatic. And I don't know
right,
if
totally,
if wa- if like, I don't know like the specific like definition, but I for me, I always look at it as like, I can support other teams, or I can go watch other teams play.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, like, I mean, like these, like what I was explaining, like about like the earthquakes, and like the last couple games that they lost, like,
yeah,
4-0, 8-1, or whatever that is. It's like, it hurts, but I'm not gonna be depressed over it, for
yeah,
sure,
yeah,
and but if they play next week and we're able to go, like, shoot, I'd be the first one there, right? And
yeah, yeah,
I'm always gonna root for the local team. But no, it does not depress me. I think, if anything, like, um, a lot of the times I find myself watching other sports on TV more than I do soccer. But
oh
I
yeah,
do love soccer. Like, I haven't played in, in a few months, obviously, through this pandemic. But, I'm used to playing like 2 to 3 times a week, right? Like,
yeah, yeah,
playing indoor 2 days a week, and then outdoor 1 day a week. And that's like, I love that. But when it comes to watching, like, unless it's like a final, or a
yeah,
classico or something like that, or like an European, like, a Champions League or something like that,
yeah,
I'm not one to like, go out there and like watch multiple games in, like, in the weekend, right? I'm always going to
yeah,
watch like
yeah,
those smaller, or just those are important games, if you will.
yeah, yeah. I'm the same way. I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit more of kind of some of the the soccer makeup. I mean, like thing is like I think what I like about it is that you can continue to play until you're old. Where like football, like American football, I
Yeah.
mean, after high school, after college, you're not out there playing the real sport. You're doing flag. You're doing, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, 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 yeah.
You kind of drop off on some of these sports, but yeah, that's cool. Well, hopefully that they do better. But
Yeah, yeah. I think
um,
they hit a little bit of a of a bump, but hopefully they'll get back up. I mean, they got some
yeah,
good players. I thought they were gonna do a lot better this year.
yeah, me
But because
too.
they had good momentum from last year, so
Yeah, they got
we'll
times where
see.
they got really great possession and doing stuff, and then but then the other teams can just pick them apart, drop them in, and it's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool. All right, man. Well, congratulations on basically coming out with your fourth. It's gonna be when's the next issue drop? When's it coming out?
In this beginning first weeks in October. I don't even know what month I'm in.
Yeah.
First couple of weeks in next month, and so in a couple of weeks,
Yeah. And
I'd say two to three.
what's some of the themes or the articles that you're excited about that are going to be in
So
this next one?
yeah, so this coming up one will be on education, and I think
Awesome.
it's a big one for families out in East San Jose, but I mean everywhere right, in general,
Yeah.
right? But I think we are um, looking to highlight some of the stories, specific stories to our folks and our families and our parents in East San Jose and their experience with distance learning,
Yeah.
also including some things around even like educational rights, which is something
Cool.
not a lot of our folks get or are familiar with or know what they're entitled to from an education point of view.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah. Great.
we have an article there that'll go a little deeper into again educational rights. And so but again I think the biggest kind of overall theme is just education in the current pandemic, man, which
Yeah.
I think is big. And so we'll have some students perspective and their experience. And but yeah, we're looking
Wow.
forward to it
Sounds good.
in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, so
Sounds
we'll see how
great.
that goes.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you. And then how do people get their hands on it and find it? What's all the
So right now
connections?
we're definitely printing. We are back printing. So the first one was printed, and then the second one didn't because of we had just gone into shelter in place, and then the third one we were able to print a limited edition, and limited edition meaning like not our full print run
Yeah. Totally.
of 2,500 or 5,000, but
Hmm.
more like 1,000, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we still wanted to get out there something that was tangible for folks, and so I think we're going to do that again and print about 1,000
Yeah.
for this time around. But other than that, people can subscribe through our Kooltura website, so kooltura.com, KOOLTURA.com. You can see there's a tab there for all of the work for the magazine, including a subscription to get it to get digital access, free digital access.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, good luck with doing that. And yeah, I'm sure we'll talk more, hopefully, once we get back to the office.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, thanks. I appreciate the time. Thanks for
Yeah.
reaching out. Obviously, always a big fan of the work that you guys are doing with Content Magazine, and so um, looking forward to getting back in the office and continue our journey with print publications and
Yeah.
branding, and so yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks
Good
for the
talking to you, man.
opportunity, and hopefully
Yeah.
we get to play soccer sometime soon, man.
Yeah. I know. We got to figure that out. Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
All right,
Thanks.
man. Good talking to you.
Bye. Bye. Find out more about Omar and Kooltura Marketing in Eastside Magazine by going to their website, kooltura.com, and also check them out on Instagram at Kooltura Marketing. Thank you for listening to the Content Magazine podcast. Follow us on social media at Content Mag. Visit our website to become a member and help us to continue to tell the stories of the local creators. This episode's music is Time Alone by Mild Monk. Follow him on Spotify and also on his Instagram at Mild Monk Music.